Hello everyone, and welcome to this Introduction to Programming series using the Python programming language. My name is Iyad Kasif. This tutorial series is meant for absolute beginners. No prior knowledge of programming is required. We're going to start from the very beginning and explain each concept. Today I'm going to explain to you the structure of this tutorial series and what you will get out of it. Then we will start by introducing the concept of hardware and software. I will tell you why I believe you should be interested in programming, and then we'll talk about programming languages in general. For this series, we're going to be using the Python programming language, and I will tell you why. Then I'll tell you what we're going to do in the next tutorial. As we mentioned before, this series is for absolute beginners. We will start from the beginning, assume no prior knowledge of programming, and explain every concept. Age-wise, I believe kids as young as 12 have enough basic knowledge of math and computers to use it. And in fact, my kids are using this as their beginner course to programming. The aim is to introduce a new concept every tutorial, but some concepts will span more than one due to complexity. Most tutorials will have exercises that will challenge and confirm what you have learned, and solutions to these will be provided on my blog and linked to from the description section of that tutorial. I would also be more than happy to offer help and support when you have problems or questions. You can reach me by email. You can get the email from the About section of my YouTube channel. Also, you can comment on the video with your questions or on the blog post related to the tutorial you happen to have questions on. By the end of this series, you will have basic knowledge of programming concepts such as conditional statements, code blocks, user-defined functions, object-oriented programming, and much more. We will do this in the Python programming language, but programming languages have many similarities, and so once you know one, moving on to another one should be easy. We will not cover game or smartphone app development, and while you may be eager to jump to writing phone apps or developing games, you'll have to learn the basics first, because there's a lot more to programming a game than the graphics you see on the screen. So these tutorials will give you the solid foundation of programming and algorithms on which you can build. Let's start by looking at the difference between hardware and software. First, whenever we mention computers, you can assume that the same applies for all computing devices, such as smartphones, tablets, and gaming consoles. Computers are made up of two things, hardware and software. The hardware is the physical aspect of your computing device. It's the hard drive where you store your movies and images, or the camera on your smartphone, or the volume buttons. Hardware is generally difficult to upgrade on computers and almost impossible on mobile devices. You simply can't swap your 13 megapixel camera for a 21 megapixel one. You'd need to upgrade the phone entirely. Software is what makes your computer run. It is the programs that run on the hardware and allow you to take those pictures using the camera, for example, or allow you to play the movies stored on your hard drive. Software is essentially a set of instructions that tell your hardware what to do. You call them programs or apps. They're much easier to upgrade and change than hardware. You can go onto the Google Play Store, for example, and download plenty of different apps to take pictures. They may have different effects or features, but they run on the same hardware, your camera. Another example of how software tells your hardware what to do. If you press the volume up on your Android phone, if you happen to be on the home screen, the ringer volume will go up. But if you happen to be on YouTube and press the same volume up button, the media volume will go up. The reason the phone acts differently is because software tells it to. The hardware, the volume up button that is the same in both cases. Before we go any further, please keep this in mind. Computers are simple machines not able to think on their own. We write the software to tell them what to do, and they do exactly that, never thinking outside the box. For example, if we tell a self-driven car to wait until the intersection is empty, and two self-driven cars arrive at the same time, neither of them will ever leave. Now, if humans were driving, they'd think outside the box. One would let the other one go and move on. Computers cannot do that. They only and exactly do what we tell them to through our programs. And so to attain intelligence, we have to build it into these programs. And this is where the beauty of programming begins. We can make computers do whatever we want and as intelligent as we want. This is how Google, for example, knows or guesses what you're trying to search for and gives you direct answers that are most likely what you're looking for. If you were to type 5CNF into Google, it will guess that you're trying to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit and give you the answer on top of the page. And that's really neat. You may be asking yourself why you should be interested in programming. Now, first of all, if you happen to be a geek, then programming is the thing for you. Because when you write programs, you can tell computers what to do, and you become their master. Steve Jobs in an interview once said, "I think everybody in this country should learn to program, because it teaches you how to think." And this is very true, because once you learn to program, you start thinking using the same logic about other issues you face. Also, learning to program will give you valuable skills moving forward, even if you don't become a programmer, because at least you'll have a better understanding of technology and how it works. Now, if you can think it, you can build it. You might have an idea that you think will be the next big thing and that will change the world. And if you know how to program, you can actually develop it and work on it. And who knows where that might take you. And if you happen to be the creative type, then you might be able to come up with a simple idea that will change everything. For example, in an era of ever more complicated games, somebody had the idea to build something really simple, called it Flappy Bird, released it, and you guys know the history of that. Now, the game itself was very simple, yet it was very popular, because not everything is about complexity. Because when you know how to program, even the sky is not your limit. It's only your imagination and your creativity. Now let's start by talking about computer languages. A computer language is a formal structured language designed to communicate instructions to the computer. A programming language provides us with the building blocks through which we can construct programs and apps that can do anything. So just like Lego blocks, we can go from something like this to something like this. As you get into programming, you will learn that there are many different languages you can write your computer instructions in. Different computer languages exist for different needs, and new ones are sometimes born out of the ashes of old ones. Also, new technologies demand new ways of writing computer instructions, and some platforms demand specific languages to be used. For example, for iOS development, you will have to use Objective-C or Swift, but for Android, you have to use Java. For this tutorial series, we're using Python. Here are some of the reasons why I chose Python and recommend it for anyone wishing to learn programming. Python is a high-level programming language. This means it will do more for you behind the scenes, so you can concentrate on building your own program and not do things like managing the program memory. And this is something you'd have to do, for example, if you were using C. And while you may not know what that means, trust me, it's ugly and you don't want to do it unless you absolutely have to. Also, Python has clear syntax. It concentrates on code readability. That makes it easier to learn and also easier to remember. For example, to tell the computer to print something onto the screen, you say print hello world and it'll print hello world. Python also aims to make you write more program with less lines of code, and that's something you will see as you learn Python in relationship to other programming languages. Hopefully at this point you're interested in continuing and learning to program. Next time we're going to download and install Python, and we will save and run our first program, Hello World. Until then.